Perfect. Let's roll. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. To my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Elias. Lee, how you doing today, buddy? It's been a little while.
Ray, I'm going to say it. We've done a lot of these shows. That
Yes.
might have been your most energetic open I've ever heard you do. That was well done, my friend.
Well, we had a week off. In fact, actually, I'm actually running on low. I was talking to producer Caitlin about this before we started the show because your boy, 3 stage readings, 3 comedy shows, all in the last 8 days, including an extra long one for Superman Reborn, the unmade 5th Christopher Reeve Superman film. And I did a Q&A with Elias Salkind and Mark Jones, the writer, and of course, Elias Salkind, the producer of the first 3 Superman films with Christopher Reeve, which was, expect that on YouTube soon. That should be a lot of fun. But yeah, been busy, my friend. Really busy.
I'm going to jump in here. My favorite picture from that event.
Yes.
And if you guys listen to the show, you've probably seen some of them, was actually you running that Q&A because it wasn't that long ago, just over a decade, that you and I went to a Star Wars celebration and we sat in a crowd watching other people do that. For Anthony Daniels and things like that. So to see you doing that with Ilya, I mean, look, this is a legit Q&A. I mean that is a very, very well-known person for a very well-known franchise and a very well-known script that we're all excited to see. Yeah. But that was my favorite picture, was kind of seeing you in that element, right where you belong, my friend. So congratulations on all that work. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. It was also for a great cause. That's the thing. It's for charity. It's for the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, of course, for spinal cord injury research. We had QR codes there at the event on the programs, whatnot that you can scan. And also, when it does go on YouTube, there will also be a direct link on the YouTube description for the video so that you can keep donating, because that, of course, is a fantastic cause.
I love that you guys did that.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it was great to be part of. My producing partner for this, David Coker, he reached out and was like, "Would you be interested in this?" Because for those who don't know, I'm part of a script reading group called Deadline Junkies. I do it every Monday in North Hollywood, and so he kind of knew that I was kind of the person to kind of help do the brass tacks of it, to get the theater, get the cast, etc. And so,
I'm going to say this too, Ray. We haven't talked about a mashup for this week, but you just came up with it without knowing it, and I'm going to actually tease it now, so that for those of you who listen, you're going to want to listen to the mashup this weekend. This is not a traditional mashup where I mash up sports and geekdom, but I just realized, and this has been done before, so we gotta be mindful of this. But I'd love to do a crossover. What superhero would you like to see fight a supervillain from another property, maybe? And I don't mean Marvel to DC. I mean, we don't see Superman fighting too many Batman villains, right? We don't see a lot of those. So again, it's been done in the comics. I'm talking about there's several that have never been done that I think we should talk about in our mashup, unless you disagree.
No, I think that sounds like a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, then I agree with you.
Fantastic.
Mashup.
So there's the tease for the mashup. But we also have a great show for you right now, folks. We have a lot of stuff. We have a little bit of video game news, a lot of trailers released since last time we were on the air.
Big stuff.
And of course, a little bit of news from all the sports. But we're kicking things off with the NFL.
The NFL.
Yes, couple of weeks of football. Where to start? Let's start with the Jets, just because it makes me laugh.
Yeah, they lost.
Yeah, they lost again. They fired their general manager this morning to go along with their head coach. Remember, the Jets were 2-3 when they fired their head coach. They are 1-5 since. So it might not have been the coach's fault. In fact, actually,
surprise.
Yes. In fact, actually, I'll say this. I watched the Jets not this past week against the Colts. I watched them against the Cardinals. That was the most lackluster team effort I've ever seen from it's very rare I've ever seen an effort like that. It was clear that defense just did not care and just gave up. Terrible tackling, terrible pursuit. And the Cardinals, who aren't bad, but the Jets made the Cardinals look like Super Bowl contenders, which they are not. And then, of course, Anthony Richardson coming back after being benched for a couple of weeks. marches down the field with 2 minutes to go and scores the game-winning touchdown, and the Jets lose by 1 to the Colts, who are still on the bubble of the playoff picture. Lee, should we just be laughing? The Jets have to be the new laughing stock of the NFL, right? Like,
no, they're not. They're the Jets. Listen, I want to come from a sports angle.
Yeah,
you have a major culture issue in that has not been addressed. We got Aaron Rodgers. That's definitely not going after the culture issue. Again, look, very talented quarterback 10 years ago. Also, look, I'm not one of these guys that I hear this. Oh, he's ruined the team. It's not him. You just have a terrible culture. Aaron Rodgers is not a culture guy that's going to come in and change the culture. It's you're going to live in his culture or you're not. All right. And that's okay sometimes if you're like a Patrick Mahomes. But look, there's a great comparison. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs, who are not undefeated anymore. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a culture there. They all buy into it. Mahomes, Kelsey, all of them, Andy Reid. You can feel it when you watch them that these guys are fighting for each other. I could easily say it's all Mahomes. Mahomes is the only reason they're winning. No one would buy that, right? You have a massive culture problem. So are they a laughingstock? No, it's the same problem. And if you don't fix the problem, you're not going to fix the team. Another team with the same freaking problem, the Dallas Cowboys. You can't fix it by landing your helicopter on the field during practice. I mean, you want to talk about living on a different level and not understanding how things go. Jerry Jones is so rich, he doesn't even understand his rich football players don't relate to that. Yeah. It's just mind-boggling. But again, the Dallas Cowboys have a culture issue, not a talent issue. There's enough talent there, Ray. There's enough talent there to be competitive. No one's going to – more than the Jets, but there's enough talent there. So, no, they're not the laughingstock. I do not know why anyone thought Aaron Rodgers would make a huge difference on that team. I really don't.
To be fair, I don't think we did.
We didn't.
We did not.
You get a couple more wins with that. It doesn't change the fabric of your team. All right? I'm going to bring this up now because we have to. Even the Giants don't seem to understand this, and they're going to DeVito. It's like, oh, let's throw in our backup quarterback. Well, I mean, that's funny. That one is funny to me.
I think, the Giants is a different scenario. The Giants are in full, the Giants are a quarterback away. They're kind of in full tank mode.
I would agree with that. They're going
to draft a quarterback. But the Giants have all but clinched the top 4 draft pick.
But they have a culture problem. Now, the right quarterback could fix that.
Sure.
Okay. Or let me rephrase that. I'm incorrect. The right quarterback could be a massive missing piece in completing that culture, because a lot of the elements surrounding that position are where they need to be. But if you want to have a culture of winning, it's not just the quarterback. And I'm dumbfounded that the Jets thought that would be the solution. I was dumbfounded when they fired Saleh. I was like, he's a good coach, guys.
And that's the thing. That's really
Saleh, excuse me.
That's the thing is that firing Robert Saleh at that point was to your point, mind-boggling, because again, if you're trying to build a culture there, and a guy who, by the way, yes, he's a culture builder. The defense in particular was behind him, and you've seen this. Not only have the Jets been 1-5 since he left, the defense went from a top 5 defense to a bottom 5 defense. It's amazing how quickly it flipped.
I'm going to tell you why it flipped. It's because that guy really cared about his players, and they knew it. Yeah. Right. And you fired that guy. And then, of course, you let the press run with this story that, it's because Rodgers wanted it. It's just mediocre to me. And I can't stand, guys, listen, I've been in the team building space for a long time. I made this major mistake when I was young, like 2021, thinking that all pro teams understand culture. They really, really don't. Okay. In fact, they probably need more of this work than kid teams do because there's so many egos, right?
Yes.
The Jets do not have a championship culture. They lean on their championship culture, which it wasn't a fluke, but they lean on that one year. The Giants are getting there, okay? The Cowboys do not have a team culture.
No.
Right?
By the way, Lee's available for consulting if anyone
it blows my mind. You know who has got a great team culture? The Lions.
Yes.
All right. That is
I was actually going to mention that basically To me, the Jets are what the Lions were before Dan
Right.
Campbell got there.
Right.
Now.
He is fantastic. And you know what?
Yes.
I love that if he's up by 4 touchdowns, he's still going to score 5 more. That's a
Yeah.
team culture.
It's like, stop me. Try and stop me.
Yeah. I have no problem with that. All
Not
right.
at all.
Especially with what they're trying to do. Okay.
Yes.
I think the Bills have a pretty good team culture. I think that the Chiefs have a great team culture.
In fact, I think the Bills culture only got better with Stephon Diggs and several other players leaving in the offseason.
Yes.
I think.
And there's
and that happens
sometimes it's who's not
too.
there. Yeah.
Yes,
sometimes it's who's not there. Right.
Well, and again, I was talking with a friend yesterday. Part of the reason why we were again reminiscing about the Giants knocking off the undefeated Patriots. The Giants turned a corner. The Giants were 8-8 the year before that. They lost in the first round of the Eagles in the playoffs. People forget that. The reason why the Giants turned the corner, part of it, is Tiki Barber retired.
Yeah, he was done.
All of a sudden, you don't realize sometimes how, as great as a running back as Tiki was on the field, in the locker room, he might have been a detriment to Eli and to a few others. And then once he left, it was Eli's team.
Yeah, well, I remember you guys talking about wanting Rondé more than him, right? Even though they're very different players. But
yes.
I will say this too, that, you know, especially with that team, it's a great example, Ray, of that Giants team. And it's like, well, is that how they beat the Patriots? The Patriots had a fantastic culture as well. The Super Bowl should be 2 amazing cultures versus each other. And then it does actually come down to the football, which is great. All right. Yeah. And again, like there is no denying the New England Patriots under Tom Brady. There's no denying that team.
No.
I'm saying this again. These teams with culture problems and then the fan bases or the ownership, they're like, oh, this will fix it. It's like there is almost no evidence in any professional sport outside of basketball. And I could even make a case there that one player will fix a team. Okay. Yeah. And when it looks like that's happening, the team was already pretty much there. It was a piece of the puzzle. All right. I think about Ray Bork with the Colorado Avalanche in 2001. I think about, and again, in basketball, I said sometimes because they put super teams together in basketball, it doesn't work.
It doesn't click.
Right. You need the right 5 guys on the court to get along, right? In every game. It's like the Dodgers did not win because of Shohei Ohtani, right? They would have probably won this year without him. All right. But it was a big piece of the puzzle.
Right.
All right. So I'm just saying, guys, this one's super duper obvious to me what the problem is there. Jets, even the Cowboys, you got to break it down. I don't want to say if they start from scratch, but you got to take a little bit of a deeper view here of who are the people in that locker room, in that clubhouse that are leading the team. All right. You've got Dak Prescott, who I actually kind of respect. Unfortunately,
he's done for the year now.
Unfortunately on the sidelines saying, man, we suck. That is a culture problem. It's not on him, Ray. It's like the environment. I always talk about this, Ray. The environment was comfortable enough for him to say that on a sideline. Yeah. Right. You got to look at your environment. All right. And are you creating a championship environment?
Yeah, no, I mean, like Jerry World is falling apart figuratively and literally.
I don't know. Out of the way.
Don't know if you saw the giant piece of sheet metal that fell off the stadium yesterday in Dallas before the Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, it's getting bad. It's getting bad down there.
I mean, again, to your point though, and you look at the Jets, you look at the Cowboys, and a lot of it starts at the top. 2 of the worst owners of
look
football.
At the Commanders. Look what they've done in a year.
New ownership, new quarterback, turned it all around.
Completely different feeling with that team.
100%.
Right now, again, the way, and I could.
And again, I said at the beginning of the year, by the way, go back that I said it. Washington was going to start going like this.
Yeah,
although they're getting up there faster than I thought.
Yeah,
but that they were going to turn a corner.
Well, look, and again, I might eat crow on this, but it's like I very much see them as an Eagles fan as they're coming fast, right? Like 100%. They can get us, and it's like we did play a great game against them, but it was a great game, and it's like. Yes. Right. As of now, it looks like the Eagles and the Commanders are the teams that are going to be there for the next few years.
Yeah.
Although I will say not Cowboys. The Giants they're very close to turning this around if you get the right person.
The Giants have the most sacks in football. The Giants have one of a top 5 defense. Yeah. The problem is the Giants can't score with Daniel Jones. And finally now, and I know we can't. Saquon's special. Not saying he's not.
Oh, he's amazing.
but for sure.
Yeah.
But the Giants have also found a gem in this rookie Tyrone Tracy.
For sure.
Who not as good as Saquon, but it's like, oh, we've got similar production now out of this rookie and Devin Singletary. So yes, it took 2 guys to do it, but it was like the running game is there, the offensive line is there, and the Daniel Jones era is officially over. The Giants are benching him.
Thank
they
God.
are officially, because they don't want him getting hurt, which would trigger a $20 million insurance clause in his contract if he were to get hurt. They're done with him. They're moving on to Tommy DeVito, who gives them, they feel, the least chance to win, which I am all for, because I want, if not the first overall draft pick, the second. I'll say this. Jacksonville's probably not going to take a quarterback, though, because they got Trevor Lawrence. But
they will not take a quarterback unless they're looking to trade him. And that might be a thing.
That could be. But so if they do get number 1, I'm not worried. But again, Quinn Ewers or Carson Beck.
Yeah.
You are a New York Giant.
Well, and let's talk about Saquon just real quick with the Giants. Looking back now, I think we have more of a 360 view on this. We talk about culture, right? That's what he thought of the Giants' culture, was to go to an arch rival. The mistake the Giants made, because I think Giants fans will say, oh, imagine if we had both of them, which is not a realistic thing.
That's not. We never drafted Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah, you never would have done it. And I heard that once, and I'm like, no.
Oh, you don't understand how,
the mistake that they made, and this Giants fans not gonna like this, was not trading him. And you're gonna say 100%. That he's not tradable. I'm like, no, he was very tradable.
He was very tradable.
Right? And the thing is that and we know this because of Hard Knocks. Like, we saw that, he'll sign back here. Well, he'll sign back, and it's like, no. And I'll tell you right now, Ray, this is not me being pro Eagles. You put him into a great team environment with a culture that needed that piece of the puzzle.
And he's staying healthy.
But look what's happening, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's having an unbelievable season, and he's doing unbelievable things, right? But again, to the Giants fans listening, to the Cowboys fans listening, to the Jets fans listening, that's what culture can do. It is bringing out the absolute best in him. Yeah. All right. You think he wants to stay healthy now? You bet your ass he wants to be as healthy as he can possibly be. I mean, look, the other thing too, man, when you do a backwards hurdle over a guy, that's not someone looking out for their safety. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's going all out right now.
Yeah.
And again, the Philly fans were mocking the Giants fans last week, saying, thank you, Giants. But Philly fans, the Giants are much closer than we think. And that's the problem.
Quarterback away. Again, if we draft the right cute quarterback in this year's draft, which at the being where we will be at the top of the draft.
You have to do it. Yeah.
We have to do it. There are 4 viable quarterbacks, I think, in this year's draft. By the way, the guys I wanted last year, Bo Nix starting to tear it up in Denver. 3 great games in a row. Denver now is the 7th seed in the AFC. Yep. Look out for the Broncos. I don't think they're going to actually do any damage, but I think the Broncos could be. I think you could have in the AFC, you have the Bills run away with the East because no other good team is good there. You're going to have both the Ravens and Steelers come out of the North.
Yeah, talk about a rivalry there.
Yeah. You're going to have the Texans win the South basically by default because Indianapolis is on the cusp, but they're still – Richardson needs to continue to develop.
Yeah.
And you're going to have 3 teams out of the West. You're going to have the Chiefs, the Chargers, and again, I think the Broncos are going to get that 7th seed. So, again, it just shows how quickly a quarterback, the right quarterback drafted, can turn your franchise around. And I think I said it at the beginning of the draft. I was hoping that Bo Nix was going to fall in the 2nd round and that the Giants would have taken him there. But Bo Nix starting to look good. But again, you had 6 viable quarterbacks in last year's draft. I think you have 4 in this one. You have to take one of them. Preferably be Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers. I would prefer Quinn Ewers out of Texas personally. And also, by the way, for everybody who's saying the Giants should tank 2 years in a row to get Archie Manning, you're morons. You're morons. Let Archie go somewhere else next year if he even declares next year. Like, Eli's legacy's with the Giants. Peyton's with the Colts and Broncos. The grandfather Archie is with the Saints.
There's no one player that will fix a team. Giants fans, allow me to take you down memory road here.
Yeah.
You were not high on Eli before that Super Bowl. There was
that's
so
very true.
much
I agree
criticism.
100%.
You guys hated him.
I am on top of that list.
Yes,
I agree 100%.
I remember it. It's, this guy's never going to win. And then he won, and now he's the greatest thing that's ever happened. All right. Come on, guys. You never tank for a player. First off, you never know if a player is going to work out, ever.
No.
Second of all, the chances of you getting that player, even if you tank, are not in your favor.
No.
You build say it with me, Ray. It starts with T, ends with M. E is in the middle. Team. Okay. Not to mention, we put way too much focus on that quarterback position. It's insanely important. If you do not have the supporting cast, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. I have coached football. It is the ultimate team sport. I heard a speaker, Ray, say the other day, I love this perspective. And he had said that, although I do have a caveat to it, he said the offensive line in football is the only position in pro sports where you have your back to the play the whole time. You never look backwards, right? You have to just trust that everyone behind you is doing what they're doing, right? I did say that hockey goaltenders have a similar thing. They're not looking at the net where you're trying to shoot. They just have to trust they're in front of it, and good ones do that. But man, guys, like the lack of understanding on this sport boggles my mind sometimes.
Well, I mean, again, that's the thing is like for everybody who if you get a quarterback this year, you do
it now. You do it right now. If you could trade for him right now, you do it right now. If it's good. Although I like the idea of getting a rookie. All right, but I'll tell you right now, if the Giants could trade for Trevor Lawrence, I would tell you to do that in a heartbeat.
Well, I mean, and again, this also goes back a couple years ago, and everybody laughed at me. Everybody laughed, and I said,
I didn't laugh at you, Ray, because I'm not at a comedy club right now. You can laugh at Ray at comedy clubs coming up. Keep an eye on his social media page. Sorry. Ray.
Yes. No, I appreciate December 6th, 12th, and 13th.
There it is.
But I said the Giants should have gotten Baker Mayfield after he left Cleveland, and he was a free
would have
agent.
been awesome.
I said the Giants should have got Baker Mayfield. And look at what he's doing. Now, Tampa's 4-6. It's not Baker's fault. Baker has literally got Joey Bosa from the Niners a couple weeks ago hanging off of his arm, and he's throwing for a first down. That is a guy who is doing everything he can with the little bit that he has around him in Tampa to win. If Baker Mayfield was on the Giants... if Baker Mayfield was on the Giants right now with Malik Neighbors and Tyrone Tracy, the Giants would be a playoff, at least a bubble playoff.
I think you'd be a bubble team. I don't think that you're where the Eagles are right now. But I think you'd be
we wouldn't be 2-8. We'd at least be like 5-5.
Yeah. Also, Baker Mayfield, perfect for New York City. I mean, just the guy you want.
He would have thrived.
I mean, but again,
thrive.
And this will be my final note on the Giants. This is what happens when you have management that does not quite understand the situation that they're in. All right, again, guys, I'm going to say this right. That Hard Knocks stuff was embarrassing.
The fact that our general manager's son knows football than him, that'll be more than Mara saying, "Oh man, we'll never live it down if Saquon goes to the Eagles." More than that. It's Shane's son, Joe Shane's son saying, he's like, why wouldn't you trade up for Jaden Daniels? He's going to be a generational guy. You got one opportunity for this. Yeah. Oh, your 13-year-old son gets it.
Right. I'll take this a step further. Now I'll say this. Maybe this did happen, what I'm about to say. I don't really know. The fact that the New York Football Giants, this is one of the greatest football franchises in the history of professional football, did not go to Max and say, if you air this, I'm going to sue you. Do not put this on TV.
They look like morons.
I'm watching this. I'm like, I cannot believe they let this air.
Everybody there should be fired just because of how.
First off, I can't believe they let him in the room for that off season of all off seasons.
Yeah.
That's the culture problem that they have. If you've noticed, Ray, who do you not see on Hard Knocks ever? The Patriots before.
Right.
Yeah, Kansas City. They don't want them there. They say it. They don't want it.
They're a distraction.
Yeah. And it's like
it's all about the money. John Mara was like, you're going to give us how much?
That's exactly what happened. All right. Let me show you one of the most embarrassing moments in franchise history. And again, it's getting more embarrassment by the week, the way Saquon's playing. All right. I will say this too. I do want to turn this towards the Eagles real quick, Ray. Are Early in the season, I think we all thought, yeah, they'll make the playoffs and they're not going to go far. Now they're looking like they could go pretty damn far.
Yeah.
In fact, certain people are now saying that they are a Super Bowl potential team now, which, again, you got to play out the whole season. But, Ray, what I'm seeing from this season versus last season is they seem to be getting worse and worse every week last year. Now they seem to be getting better and better. And I do, we like to kind of talk about things we've talked about in the past. 6 weeks ago, or 7 weeks ago, when Sirianni shaved his head and he was talking back to the press, remember I had said, I think he's trying to make a distraction to take the pressure off the team. And he's put himself into a Super Bowl or bust position. Well, they are well on that trajectory at the moment. They have not lost a game since then. They are looking better every week.
Yep.
Right? I mean, they're not even looking like they're near their potential yet.
Yeah, I love, by the way, all the folks being like, Jalen Hurts sucks at the beginning of this year. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I think the Eagles are just a far more complete team now than they were last year. I mean, when you put Barkley into this lineup, it changes everything. I think also, too, Jason Kelce's replacement. I just hear Travis so much.
Him too. He's been getting better.
He's getting better every week. And they've been commenting on him. It's like, it doesn't even look like Kelce's not here now, right?
Yeah.
So I'm loving this team right now. I mean, it's look, after last season and the just unbelievable complete collapse.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't think they're thinking about that and making changes based on that, which they have, not to mention our coordinators are just far superior this year.
Yes.
Eagles are looking pretty good, Ray. I mean, I would say they have a chance.
I mean, absolutely, they have a chance. The Lions are still the favorites, in my opinion, in the NFC. But if it's I would not be surprised if it's Lions-Eagles in the conference championship.
Yeah, I could see that too. And then, again, this is one of those things. If the Lions somehow get knocked off early, I mean, it opens the door for a lot of teams. But
I mean, this is the thing. Like, look, the Falcons are weak. They'll probably win that division. Which credit to you. I didn't think they would. You called it the beginning of the year, but right now they are leading. The Cardinals, not a threat, but they'll probably that division. Excuse me, the NFC West is a cluster.
Yeah,
right.
Well, that's Commanders Eagles, right? Like they're both in the one's wild card right now, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I think the Commanders just don't have enough experience. So you look around, and I think the Vikings are flawed. I think the Packers are flawed.
Yeah.
The two most complete teams are the Lions and the Eagles.
Yeah. And I'll say that you put a gun to my head.
Not to say that obviously there can't be an upset. Obviously.
No. The Lions would be the favorite to beat the Eagles, but that does not mean the Eagles can't beat the Lions. That's one of those games, right? It would be a pretty close bet line. But yeah, look, the NFL season, we're at that point now. We know who it's going to be. And some of you guys are done. Some of you guys are on the bubble. Some of you guys are at the top. It's been a good NFL season. But no, just to make this bookend, Ray. No, the Jets are not funny to me. I do not get. It's like it's ridiculous, right? It's just you have no culture.
Again, they're the new Lions. They're the new Lions. They were what the Lions were 7-8 years ago.
Right, and the Lions are just a dominant force within the NFL. Yeah. Best team in Detroit.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Which isn't saying much, but they are. Although the
Tigers fans like that.
The Tigers and Red Wings are on the up and up. The Pistons, not so much.
Yeah, what kills me? The Red Wings, it's ever since they joined the Eastern Conference, just not a threat. Such a threat in the Western Conference.
Amazing how that happened. Real quick, I want to move over to college football. College football is getting very interesting.
It is.
Yeah. Big upset this week. Unranked Kansas knocked off at the time number 6 overall BYU, leaving only 3 undefeated teams left. Indiana, which nobody saw coming. Where is it? Oregon, which not surprised. Oregon number 1. By the way, both Big Ten teams, and then Army at 9-0.
Isn't that crazy?
Lee, a lot of folks are being like, so Army right now is outside of the playoff picture. But if they win out, because here's the thing, they play Notre Dame this week. Notre Dame, by the way, double-digit favorites over Army. Number 6 versus number 18. If Army beats Notre Dame, they are absolutely in. Not only are they in, they possibly knock Notre Dame out. But they are absolutely 100% in at that point, because then all they have left is the conference championship against Tulane. and then they have the Army versus the traditional Army versus Navy game. I mean, if Army runs the tape, if Army finishes undefeated, there is not only are they in the playoff, but they probably get a bye. For those who don't know, the top 4 conference winners will get the bye in the new playoff structure, which I think right now would be, by the way, almost, I think the Oregon, Texas, by the way, 4 of the top 5 teams right now in college football in terms of rankings, Big Ten teams. Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State, and Indiana, which did not see that coming. And then you have Notre Dame, who, of course, is one of the at-larges. And then you go to Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss and Tennessee. They kind of had some tough games the last couple of weeks. But it's getting interesting in college football. And yeah, BYU slips all the way out of the playoff picture with that loss against unranked Kansas. That is a bad loss. They dropped
that, and they don't have any more ranked games left, so they're out.
I mean, if they win their conference championship, maybe, but because that will factor into the playoffs. But boy, oh boy, they really put themselves behind the 8 ball with that loss, and that was a game that they should have won. I watched it, and it was just a good team playing really sloppy ball. And when you let another team that's Kansas had some heartbreaking losses this year. Kansas has 5 of their 6 losses by one. They lost by less than one possession, basically, less than a touchdown.
You know what's going to be interesting here, Ray? Because the top 12 make it, and it's like I'm looking at Boise State, who's at number 12 right now.
Yeah,
they have Ashton Genty, who's probably going to win the Heisman. I mean, he's
really. You think over Travis Hunter?
I would pick him over him. Yeah, only because I just think the strength of schedule is a little harder. All right, and again, I don't think they're going to give Colorado anything, to be perfectly honest.
Well, and funny enough, Dion even said that. He's like, you all got to stop hating my players because of stuff I did when I played when the NFL.
Yeah, and that's going to play into it. I really think so. But what's funny about Boise, and this is what is interesting about this format, they're 12, but they have no more ranked games, right? So obviously they have to win out, right? But it's like, what happens when someone's seated below them, the Army, for example? Like if Army ends up beating Notre Dame, they're not going to put Notre Dame out of the top 12.
Right.
So it's like that's almost unfair to Boise State. Now, it's far more fair than what we had last year.
Yes.
So I will say that. But this is good for college football, right? That we're not just talking about 1, 2, or 1 through 4 right now.
Yeah.
Right. This is good for college football. We never would have been talking about Boise State,
that's the thing. There are so many paths for several of these teams, right?
Right. Well, and also, Ray, look, when you get to the any given Sunday scenario with these 12 teams, I do, look, Oregon should be there at the end.
100%.
Who knows? You don't know. All right.
Oregon. That's the thing. Oregon's had some close calls. Oregon just barely. What was the score? I think they won 16-13. I'm looking for the score now. Over Wisconsin, which was the Badgers, another one of those teams that are just feels like a couple players away from being on a national stage again. And Oregon barely got past them. This Oregon team could stumble, and they're 11-0. But we've seen a lot of undefeated teams go undefeated in the regular season and then stumble late.
And then, I'm looking at this too, they're not going to make it in. Colorado's right outside, just right outside looking in. It's amazing to me.
But that too, if they win out and they win their conference championship, they could sneak in depending on who else loses.
It's possible, but unlikely because they'd have to jump over Texas A&M, Brigham Young again, SMU, and Boise to even get in. But look, I love that we're having these conversations because in the past 100 years, this wouldn't have been happening. All right. Yeah. And again, I'd rather see a controversy for the 12th seed and not the 4 seed. Yes. All right. So good on college football. This has been this has got to be the best college football season I think we've ever witnessed.
Oh, in my life. For me, in my lifetime, this is the most interested I've been in college football because it feels anybody, many teams could be in it.
Yeah, it's a great move. And I'll say this too, that what needs to happen, just looking ahead a little bit, I have been so disappointed in national championship games the last couple decades. There's been very few that have been, oh my God. The ones that stick out in my mind are when Auburn won, on a last second play. But most of these things come down to a field goal. And to me, they haven't been great.
I think it was Texas USC was a good one.
Yeah, that was a great one. That was a great one. Yeah. But that was the heyday. That was like 2004, wasn't it?
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
most of them are forgettable. In
Yeah,
my
so
opinion.
they need to have a great playoffs for this to fortify. But yeah, college football, man, we've really never talked about it. I'm kind of rooting for Army, man. I'm kind of rooting for Army. Their path is right there for them. So we'll see what happens.
If they win out, they're in. But they have to be. They have to beat Notre Dame.
Yeah, and that's going to be a tough game. But talk about classic college football matchup: Army versus Notre Dame.
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. So again, it's all right there in front of them.
It's all in front of them, Ray. It's all right in front of them.
I've cursed them now.
I've cursed them now.
Speaking of undefeated teams, quickly going to go over to NBA. The Cavaliers become the 4th team in NBA history to start a season 15-0. The last 3, by the way, have all made the NBA Finals, although only one of them actually won the trophy. That was the 93-94 Houston Rockets. Including, and the one, of course, with the longest winning streak was the Warriors a few years ago, who were up 3-1. They set the single season wins record with 73, and then, of course, choked and lost 3 in a row to LeBron and the Cavs. Speaking of the Cavs, LeBron and the Cavs. Yeah. Lee, what are your thoughts right now on this unbeaten streak for the Cavs? They are playing the Celtics tonight, which, of course, would be a great chance for that streak to be snapped. The Celtics are 11-3. Knicks are doing okay at 8-6, by the way. What are your thoughts on the unbeaten Cavs?
Look, it's always great to see a team find success early in the season, but it's just too far early in the season for me to go, wow, to the point of that. Like, you have to maintain that. You have given yourself now every opportunity to be a really powerful team this season. Don't blow it. I'm serious. I've seen teams have a hot start. I've seen a football team last year go like 10-2 and then lose their last however many games. And it's a great start. But as I said before, with culture things, right, you got to be able to maintain this for a long time. Again, what a start like that does is it gives you breathing room, right?
Yes.
And that is very important. Okay, don't get me wrong. If you want to become
a long season,
but it's a long season, and that is what, 20% of the schedule. I mean, not even, right? Like, so it's 80 something games, right?
Right.
So it's like, okay, great start, and I love it. But let me tell you this: no one ever plays for the streaks; they play for the championship.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't matter what team it is. Ask the New England Patriots if the streak matters more than winning or losing that Super Bowl.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, no, exactly. They have one giant loss. That's all everyone remembers.
Yes.
So,
yes. And that could have been the greatest football team of all time.
I mean, they would have been if they went 19-0.
They may be, but we don't talk about that because they didn't win the big game.
Right.
Right.
Yep. And they had several opportunities to, but they didn't take advantage. Ha ha ha. Anyway, Lee, also your 76ers are really stumbling out of the gate.
A lot of controversy in Philadelphia with that right now.
Yeah, they are playing like horse manure.
Yeah, poop.
What are your thoughts on Embiid? Obviously, they brought in Paul George from the Clippers.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but opposite. Obviously, they do not have breathing room, but it's early. Yeah. It's still somewhat early. All right, like that is not a good schedule. I'm sorry, not a good ranking.
No. Okay. 2-11 is a very
2-11 is very bad. But you right the ship. Who knows what happens? Right. They're not looking good though. Right. The Embiid thing was such a distraction, and I blame the Sixers, I blame him, and I blame the media for creating such a controversy out of something that could have probably have been solved with a good interview. And just showing once again how dumb sports journalists are. This was more a gotcha than, listen, let's talk about why you're doing a workload thing. And Charles Barkley going, the money. It's like, all right, guys, focus on everything but the basketball. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Yep, and it's not going well. So that's the NBA update. Moving over now to a little bit of baseball. A little bit of baseball offseason news. A little, not really a lot going on with the hot stove. A lot of minor moves and stuff.
No, everybody's looking at one player on the hot stove. That's it.
Yes, that's the thing is once Soto goes, you're going to see the other. I think you're going to see the other dominoes fall, right? But yeah, I think that a couple of interesting things. First off, rookies of the year, Paul Skeens of the Pirates. Not too surprising, but maybe a little bit over Jackson Merrill for San Diego, who played the whole year. But Paul Skeens was just absolutely dominant once he got called up for Pittsburgh, had an unbelievable run, and hopefully the Pirates actually keep him instead of letting him go somewhere like Houston, like they did with Garrett Cole, before he went to the Yankees. that's the thing. Pittsburgh does a great job drafting and developing young players. They just then don't much like the Athletics did for a while with Moneyball. They just then don't keep them because they're cheap. Be less cheap, Pittsburgh, and you'll win more games.
So true.
Yeah, and Luis Heel, another starter who, because Garrett Cole was hurt, forced into the Yankee rotation and had an unbelievable season for the Yankees. And they still wouldn't start him in game 2 of the playoffs for any series. They waited for game 4, and then he was the only game they won in the World Series. What a shock! Your superstar young pitcher didn't get 2 starts in the World Series. Anyway,
Wow.
Luis Heel, 10th Yankee ever to win Rookie of the Year. And so congrats to him. So Lee, thoughts? I mean, we're gonna hear MVPs and Cy Youngs. Well, those stuff's gonna be coming out soon. Those are the first awards given out so far here. Big awards in my opinion. I think you've had Silver Sluggers given out as well. What are your thoughts on Luis Heel and Polsky? A couple of starting pitchers getting Rookie of the Year this year.
Yeah, I'm fine with it. I mean, that's good for baseball, right? It should be spread out. I mean, the baseball offseason, I tend to tune it out because I'm usually pretty used to. Well, growing up, I was used to not being involved,
Right.
and now it's just being disappointed. So I'm just gonna let that sit there. I'm well in the hockey season right now, Ray. I'm fully immersed in the NHL. But look, I'll say it again with the hot stove and baseball. I don't really love that it's about one player, and I feel like we just did this last year because we did.
Yep.
And so it's like, all right, he'll go somewhere. They'll be the team to be favorited to. Now, I gotta ask it. If the Dodgers pull him, which is very possible.
Don't even bother watching next year.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point?
Honestly, don't
that. And this is where it's like, what's the point?
It's bad for, and I'll say this again. And I'm glad in the way that Soho has said it. That's it's not Soho, Soto.
Soho, you're in Soho.
So, Soto has said that he will not do a deferred contract like Shohei.
Yeah,
he wants his money, and I said this again. In 2026, when the CBA is up, that loophole that Shohei took advantage of, and honestly, and good on him. I get it.
You can't blame the guy.
But you're gonna close. You have to close that deferment loophole. You have to, for the good of the game, because you can't have the Dodgers do these, or any team do these kind of weird contracts in order to try to, I mean, we were the evil empire, but we paid everybody. The Dodgers are the new evil empire right now. If Juan Soto goes to the Dodgers, there's no point in watching baseball next year. None. It's that simple.
Yeah.
And if the Yankees do not re-sign Juan Soto, we march on Yankee Stadium the day after, because Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone, and Hal Steinbrenner need to go if Soto leaves.
Well, he's going to try and play that Shohei contract right at him. And, Steinbrenner wouldn't hesitate. I'm not going to lie to you.
No, George would not. Yeah. George would not, but Hal only cares about the numbers.
Yep.
And again, Brian Cashman traded an entire pitching staff worth of pitchers to the Padres, who would have been really useful in the playoffs. If we only get Soto for 1 year, that will go down as one of the worst trades.
Yeah.
Ever. Mark my words. So other news around baseball: the Baltimore Orioles, after many complaints from their players, are bringing in that ridiculous wall from left field. They're going to lower it from 12 feet to 8, and they're going to bring it in about 10 feet. And they'll hope that will help with offense. Of course, it'll also probably help with opposing offense. But so the weird trapezoid in left field being brought in Baltimore. We've seen this around baseball.
Camden Yards. Yeah,
we've seen this around baseball before. When the Mets built Citi Field, everybody complained it was too big, so they brought in the walls. So the Orioles are going to do the same now. And we'll see what happens next year with their team.
It's not bad for baseball.
No. There were so many home runs last year that hit the top of that wall. There would have been home runs in every other ballpark. But That's the beauty of baseball, is that every ballpark is different.
Right. I think people love the dinger. And again, with the way that team's playing right now, you should absolutely help them.
Well, and I think that's part of the thing too, is they're like, oh, come playoff time, now that after 2 first-round exits, maybe we need more offense. More often.
So we're going to change the field.
Yeah, change the field.
Yeah.
Although they have new owners now too, and I think they are actually going to pay their players now. And I think you're not going to see what happened like 10 years ago when they had to trade Manny Machado because they weren't going to pay him. I think you're going to start seeing the new Baltimore Oriole ownership really step up. And I've said it before, I think the Orioles are a threat for the next several years.
They are.
I'm always thrilled when they get bounced from the playoffs because I'm a Yankee fan. So, final thing, the 2025 Hall of Fame ballot was released yesterday.
A lot of players on that.
A lot of players. I'm going to say this. First-time player Brian McCann, because he was around the cheating scandal with Houston, I don't think he's going to get any votes. I think your most likely best chances for first ballot on this ballot of the new players, I mean, Ichiro for sure.
Oh, that's easy. Ballot. Yep.
Yeah. I think there's an outside chance for like a CC Sabathia or a Felix Hernandez to be first ballot. I think CC will be in the Hall no matter what at some point. I don't know if he's first ballot. And then I think also eventually, I think Dustin Pedroia for the Red Sox will eventually get in, but I do not think he's first ballot. Lee, what are your thoughts on the? Oh, and Billy Wagner will be the one guy who hasn't gotten in yet in his last year of eligibility. I think Billy Wagner will get in because he's been trending. They always look at the trends, and he's been trending in the right direction basically the entire 10-year period. And I think that he will get in the final year of his eligibility. I think it will just barely crack the 75% mark.
What about Bobby Abreu, Ray?
No. I liked Bobby. I love Bobby Abreu. I'm a huge Bobby Abreu fan, not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Pete Rose should be in the
very
Hall of
good.
Fame. Pete Rose should be in this year, Ray. Pete Rose should be in now.
Yeah, and they should put Pete Rose in too.
They should do it this year. Put it to bed. It's time. Yep. I'm serious. Like I'm not trying to be funny. Now is the time. You missed this. This is the last chance. It's not going to ever happen if they don't do it this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Just it's it. We said now while he's alive. Well, now he's
put him in as a builder. I don't care. Just put him in.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So anyway, if I was voting for the Hall of Fame, my Hall of Fame would probably be my ballot would be CC Sabathia, Ichiro, Dustin Pedroia, and Billy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah. So that's the baseball news. Not a lot of baseball. Anyway, moving on. Talking about people buying stuff and everybody trying to buy stuff up and talking about Juan Soto and all this other stuff. Sony, desperate for developers after firing everybody. They are looking to buy Kadokawa, which is the parent company of From Software, who makes Elden Rings and made all the Dark Souls games and whatnot. And this is a big deal for several reasons. This would be Elden Ring is one of the I'm not a fan, but for a lot of folks, made a ton of money. It's a big developer. This is a big deal to get From Software. And honestly, it makes sense. From has worked very closely with Sony for a while. But the fact that they're going to buy the parent company, Kadokawa, is a big deal because this would give Sony the monopoly on anime. Sony already owns Aniplex and Crunchyroll. Kadokawa is another major anime publisher of manga and of anime books and whatnot. This would give Sony a stranglehold on anime coming all throughout Japan and anything that comes here to the States. Lee, what are your thoughts on Sony cornering the anime market, which I did not see coming this morning?
Yeah, I didn't see that either. I don't know, right? Look, I can't tell if this is a power move or a desperate move. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because it's a big market. It's not a small market, right? I mean, there's a lot there, but it's also a consistently failing market.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do with it, right? Like, are you planning to expand it or do you just want to own it? Because if you just want to own it, it seems like a desperation move, right? I don't know. I have a hard time with it. And now I will say this too, that with things like Marvel's What If, X-Men 97, there's a possibility here that the United States is about to have a new birth in that realm. and maybe they're looking to dive into that, but I don't know. What do you think, Ray? I want to know what you think.
I think it's a little bit of desperation.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think it's as much of a power move as people think it is.
I don't either. It doesn't feel like one.
No. I feel like as we prepare for the great video game mergers of the 2020s.
That's about IP.
I think that this is about IP.
Yeah.
Because I also think, and mark my words,
I will.
Unless the next Assassin's Creed game sells like 10 million units in its first month, I think Ubisoft is in a lot of trouble. I think you're going to start to see, I've been saying this for a couple of years, I think you're only to see more consolidation in the games industry, which is bad, but I think that's all you're going to see, more consolidation the same way Microsoft bought up Activision. And I think that, again, we've talked about this. Microsoft has so much money, and Nintendo has so much more money than Sony. And I think this is like an IP grab, and I think this is just a way to try to bolster themselves from the coming end times. So, or dark ages, not end times, but dark ages.
I mean, look, here's the thing. This is not a new development in terms of the world of business. We're watching all the cable systems go through this right now with streaming, right? So the same thing's happening in gaming. It's just what happened is you got these big wig morons that go, oh, gaming is doing what streaming did because they're going to streaming. And it's like, yeah, you guys don't really understand the market. But that's what's going to happen because they rule the market. So I think it is an IP grab. All right. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's an interesting one for sure.
For sure. It's something to keep an eye on. Something else to keep an eye on, something that we've been waiting for months now, is whatever the successor is to the Nintendo Switch. I'm hoping it's still going to be called Super Nintendo Switch.
That would be so great.
The Switch 2, whatever they want to call it, when they finally do reveal it, hopefully. I think a reveal is coming in the next 3 months.
Oh, I think it's imminent. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's imminent for sure, because they just also announced that Nintendo announced and confirmed that whatever the successor is, it will be backwards compatible to the Nintendo Switch. So all your Switch games can be played on the new system.
Right. Now, why would they say that? Right? Because the answer is pretty easy to this.
Well, they want people to keep buying Switch games?
Yeah, because the holidays are right here right now.
Yeah.
They know it. So with the Christmas, Hanukkah holiday coming up, they could reveal this thing. They don't want you waiting for Switch 2 before you buy your next Switch game, and they knew that. So now it's like, hey, they could literally announce it on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And you know what? Supercharge you to go buy some Switch games because you're going to be able to play them anyway. It's actually a really smart move. And I think if they're smart, they will announce this around the holidays. Yeah. Right? Because what you do is you supercharge the audience. Everybody goes and buys. You release the Switch 2, the Super Nintendo Switch, which they have to do. That's just such a great name. Yeah. And you can do that in Q1, Q2, and you can have a second holiday. Although I know they don't usually release systems then. But this is kind of a classic Nintendo move, right? Of not doing what everybody else does.
Yeah. They did release the Switch in the spring. So.
That's what I'm saying. You do this again, right? You get 2 holidays that year.
Well, and that's the thing is that like a part of me hopes they announce it at the Game Awards in December.
Yeah, they probably will, right?
And if they don't, and if they don't, and you need a laugh, you can come see me at the Ice House on December 12th, immediately after the Game Awards.
Yeah, no, I would love to do that too. I think the announcement is imminent, and I think the backwards capability thing is huge because you're going to keep buying the final titles for the Switch. Super Nintendo Switch, such a great name. I hope they do that.
Yes, 100%. So moving on now from we mentioned Marvel a couple of times. A lot of Marvel news the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, a lot of coordinated news too.
A lot of trailers
out of nowhere, kind of right.
Yeah,
it's all of a sudden one day we had all these great trailers come out. I was like, oh, this is great.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I get it. Right. We got the new Cap movie. Got Cap 4 coming out in February. Thunderbolts in May, and a new What If season.
Yeah, didn't see that
dropping over the holidays again. Let's start there, Lee. What If? See, they said this is the final season of What If.
Which but we saw probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think they kind of realized it, but we see that Uatu, the Watcher, is in trouble with the rest of the Watchers, which happened in the comics because again he interfered, but he wasn't supposed to. We saw Storm from the X-Men, which might be the first way to kind of crack open that a little bit more into the larger MCU. We saw an Avengers Voltron thing, which was kind of crazy looking. A whole lot of stuff going on in that trailer. Lee, are you excited for What If Season 3? Because I'm surprisingly excited for Season 3.
I'm looking forward to it in the sense of Season 2. I didn't think it was that great. I thought Season 1
not
was
as good as Season 1.
Yeah, Season 1 was amazing. Season 2 was like, okay. That was like a Saturday morning cartoon season. So I'm glad that they've already teased it as, okay, this is the finale of that. It's going to bring all 3 seasons together.
Yeah.
They've done a great job of bringing in their newer characters, I guess, since this has started, to give you kind of a trade-off point. I do not think it's going to affect the larger MCU, Ray. I think that the 3 seasons are their own thing. And like that's also in the nature of What If, right? Like in the comic books, they don't become anything canon, right? It's always a what if.
Right.
So I think you're gonna get the Watcher's story. And again, I know we did see the Watcher in X-Men, right? But I don't know if that's gonna play into it at all. In the sense of this, I don't think the Watcher's gonna play into the future episodes of X-Men. I do think that episode's going to play into What If. Because he was there. And again, the Thor storm is always a cool thing there as well. But what's interesting to me, Ray, is that, and this has come up, and we'll kind of, I'm gonna parallel jump here. I really hope that this inspires Disney to do a Star Wars What If, because those comics were fantastic. Yeah. And I think you could have a lot of fun with that. We've always wanted animated Star Wars. The ones they've done have been pretty well received now.
Yeah.
And when I say animated Star Wars, my friends, I'm not knocking Rebels or Clone Wars. I'm talking about with the original characters. Right. But everybody's always wanted to see that. So I'd love it if they flipped over to a Star Wars What If, just to see how that would do.
Yeah.
But I think this is going to close the loop on that, and they'll move on. They've done enough with the multiverse. It's time to start bringing that home.
Yeah, I think start tying up those strings. Or who knows? Maybe we do get a Doctor Doom tease out of this. We'll see. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they're going to give us anything with that.
I have heard that there's actually we are going to start getting the Doom teases in the live action films soon, though.
Oh, 100%. I mean, look, I'm interested to see how they're going to close this loop. I mean, you can't just let Kang fester. Yeah. You got to bring that home. So we'll see what happens.
Even if it is, like you said, Doom just obliterates everything.
Yeah, you can fly over that day. Oh, you brought everybody together all at once? That was dumb. Boom.
Yeah. No, for sure. We also saw the new Cap trailer.
Yeah.
We saw Harrison Ford in Red Hulk form, and I was surprised at how good it looked. I thought it looked great. I'm actually really excited to see how this goes, and I think that my prediction. My prediction is that, and this would make sense, is that obviously Thunderbolt Ross is the bad guy all along, right? That basically he's an assassination attempt on the president, and it's just all staged for him to grab more power in the Marvel universe as Thunderbolt Ross, because he's a general and that's what he does. That's what his character has always been about, and I think that's when he becomes Red Hulk, and it's just all about I think you're going to find out that actually Red Hulk is the big bad in this film, and that he's just playing everybody. But I'm looking forward to seeing it anyway. I think it's going to be good. And I'm always excited. And I love the fact that Harrison Ford seems really excited. And he seems, it's funny. He loves everything he's ever done except for Star Wars, I think, at this point. So Lee, what are your thoughts on Red Hulk and Captain America 4?
Yeah, I'll expand upon it a little bit too. I want to see if this ties into Thunderbolts at all, for obvious reasons, because they added this asterisk at the end of that title now. Have you seen that?
Yes.
So that's that wasn't there before. That was a new development. So Thunderbolts with an asterisk was not like that in the previous trailers. They went out of their way.
Not all of them. They're not the original ones, right?
Yeah, I'm saying they're going out of their way to show you that.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. The other thing too is anytime you see a Hulk, are you going to see Hulk?
Yeah.
Right? Are you going to see Scar? Right? Because we haven't seen this kid yet, and they kind of brought a kid into the universe and just left it there.
At the end of She-Hulk, I know.
Which is like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think your prediction is very likely. It's been testing poorly with audiences. I wish people would stop sharing crap.
Stop saying that. They said the same thing about Wicked all those years ago.
Yeah. Wicked's going to murder the box office. So it's just going to be very interesting, but I'm looking forward to it. That trailer looked really great. I like the way they did it. It feels like old Marvel, right? 10 years ago. It feels like Captain America, Winter Soldier type feelings, which is to date the best movie they've made. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I also like that Isaiah Bradley is going to have a bigger role in this. Almost like it seems like a Manchurian Candidate kind of thing.
Totally.
It looks like where he's like, I don't remember what happened, and like I think it's going to be all Thunderbolt Ross. I think the leader, obviously we know the leader is in this for sure too. But I think that you're going to have maybe Thunderbolt Ross sells his soul to the leader, figuratively, obviously.
Maybe.
No Mephisto here.
It depends how corrupt they want to make the U.S. government in this film.
Well, or even just Thunderbolt Ross, right? That's his character, right? He's not a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, like they teased the big fight as Red Hulk versus Captain America, so we'll see what happens.
We will see. And then the Thunderbolts trailer is a lot of fun. That
really
came out
good.
I am curious to see. There are rumors that they're going to kill off one of the characters actually pretty quickly or pretty early, kind of almost like Suicide Squad did with a few of them. There's rumors that maybe Taskmaster or somebody kind of early on, but we'll see what happens. But I love that you're bringing back all these fringe villains and whatnot. They're coming back, and this is what the Thunderbolts is.
Well, there's one person very much missing from the trailer.
Taskmaster.
No.
I'm trying to remember.
I know, and this is why I'm not teasing you, Ray. No one seems to be remembering that this person's around.
Who is it?
Baron Zemo.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Nowhere to be found.
It's true.
He's involved in Thunderbolts.
Yes, he is involved in the Thunderbolts in the comics. And I'm curious if they'll use him at all here.
Well, I don't think he's going to be killed off. I think
he won't be killed.
I think there's a reason.
I think they're going to kill off Taskmaster.
Taskmaster would make sense. I mean, nobody.
Yeah.
Who cares?
After the Black Widow film, everyone was.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And we see Taskmaster for a moment, but it's all right.
That is the rumor, though.
And Bob. We can't forget about Bob.
Well, I mean, and that's the big thing, right? Is that basically Bob is the Sentry, who's one of the most powerful characters in Marvel Comics, and it feels like that Bob is going to go off the rails, and when he does, that's your big bad for the film, right? So, sorry, I hate that they're just calling him Bob.
No, I think it's hilarious. They're trying to make sure people don't know who don't know. But where's Baron Zemo? All right, he is a major part of Thunderbolts, so I'm interested to see where he's going to pop up.
Well, and that might be your lead in. That might be your connection from Cap 4 to Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so. And I think they will connect those two films.
Yeah, and we got Julia Louis-Dreyfus as
the Avengers Tower.
Yep. No, I'm excited. I think bringing everybody together. I think Marvel's going to start hitting its stride again, and I think that it starts. I think it starts with what's Brave New World, and then we get into Thunderbolts.
Yeah, they're doing a good job. It's less is more. Thank you, guys.
Yes.
And then Wonder Man. They announced Wonder Man out of nowhere.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, the Wonder Man show, with Ben Kingsley, his actor character coming back.
It's just I got to bring it up again. It's like, wow, they're doing Wonder Man. Okay.
I mean, it's great. He's an Avenger, in the comics. We'll see what he does. And a lover of Wanda, which, okay. We'll see what happens there. We still have White Vision somewhere.
Yeah, I'm wondering if Vision Quest brings back Wanda.
Yeah. I think Vision Quest, the more I think about it, is going to reunite the family. They're going to find Tommy. They're going to get Vision.
Yeah.
And they might bring back Wanda in the Darkhold.
I think they will.
Yeah. So exciting. One last Marvel story. Kevin Feige said this and we actually mentioned Sony earlier. He says that Miles Morales will come to the MCU after the third Spider-Verse film, whenever that is. It's the thing. We're all still waiting on that. There are rumors, though, we are going to get more news on that shortly.
Yeah. Looking forward.
But we haven't yet.
So, Ray, what's interesting about that is that, I hope they do this right, because I know Tom Holland has said multiple times he really wants to bring Miles Morales into the MCU.
Yeah.
The issue is that, I mean, and look, they could do away with this. I don't think anybody's going to have a complaint about it. But Miles Morales Spider-Man is the only Miles Morales Spider-Man. That's one of the things that's really unique to him and that I love. Yeah. Now, again, The video game has one. I mean, but the argument should be that's all the same person. The animated one, the video game one, are all the same Miles Morales. So I don't know if they're going to go that route.
I don't think so.
I know, which is interesting because I wish they would. All right.
Yeah.
I wish they could bring him over, but there's a lot to do there. But I
think
think
I think that's why they canceled the video game DLC, or part of the reason.
Probably. I mean, look, here's the thing. I think that there's many different. One of the things about Miles Morales that I love that makes him so unique is he's the only one, right? And again, I think that and they're doing that in the animated movies. That like it's clear he's the only one, right? Like he
don't want to become Spider-Man anyway.
No, that's what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
Because it's clear that in every other universe,
he doesn't.
He's just
a kid. He's just a kid, or he becomes the Prowler, and the one that
he's the Prowler. Like in the animated one, you guys can go back and watch this. When he meets Spider-Man the first time in the first film, all of his colors for the Spider Sense are the Prowler's colors, and then he meets Spider-Man, and it turns into the red and blue.
Yeah.
Like originally, it's like purple. It's like there's so many nods that he's Prowler.
Yeah.
Right. In every other universe. I mean, by the way, those films are so masterful. I really do think that might be the best thing Marvel has done is the Spider-Verse films.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see. I've always liked that uniqueness that he's the only one, that there's not 15 different versions of him. And then, like I said, it's a shame that Spider-Man Noir has beat him to live action. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm not excited for that at all.
I would have been excited if it was like a short, there's nowhere to go with that.
Or animated again.
Yeah, that would have been better too. But I mean, it's like, well, not like Spider-Man Noir is going to usher in a new noir, oh, this is great.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's interesting to see. It's gonna be curious to see what happens.
Yeah, I love Miles Morales.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, one last story this week, and I'm putting it on the rundown just because I think it's so funny. I couldn't stop laughing when I heard this. So Wicked is coming out. I'm not a big musical theater guy, but I've seen a few. Never seen Wicked because I think The Wizard of Oz is just perfect the way it is. I don't need anything else. And I'm an old man and get off my yeah. Also, to be fair, when Wicked first came out on Broadway, it was also like ridiculous tickets, and I'm poor.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was like
there's a barrier of entry sometimes with theater. That's not great. But Wicked, they turned it into a film. It's gonna probably dominate the box office for the next couple of weeks.
It will do very well. Yeah.
Yes. It's coming out this Friday, and obviously, when you have something like this, a franchise like this, tons and tons of merch, and Mattel.
Mattel.
Yeah. They made Barbie dolls of Glenda and the Wicked Witch of the West, who's the name they give her in the film. I don't remember. It begins with an E, Elphaba, whatever. But like, I call it a Wicked Witch of the West. Again, old man. I admit it. I'm an old man. Anyway, they somehow, we always talk about on the show about people failing upwards, and it feels like how this got through so many layers of defense to the point where these dolls were on store shelves. Now, they were only on store shelves for a day. It was a massive, instantaneous recall. The website for the Wicked movie is wickedmovie.com. Wickedmovie.com. Printed on the back of all of these dolls' boxes was the website, just wicked.com. Now, typos happen, and if it was just any normal typo, it probably would have just been, that's it. It would have been, they might have actually even tried to buy the domain. But the problem is the domain was already being used by a porn site. And it was printed on the back of millions of Barbie dolls around the country, and a massive recall needed to be had. And I just can't stop laughing about this. By the way, it was the most traffic. Wicked.com was the most traffic they've had in 15 years. I heard the day those dolls came out.
Pretty funny.
And if you kept your doll, you got a doll on that day. It's probably a collector's item now because all the other ones got recalled. Lee, This is a little bit out of our realm usually, but I just couldn't stop laughing at this. What are your thoughts on the wicked merch disaster and Mattel just absolutely screwing up what could have been one of their biggest launches in years for toys?
I will say this, Ray. Aside from this being very funny, this is a learning moment for everyone. I always tell my staff to triple check everything. Everything. And if Mattel can make this mistake, you can make this mistake. Do you know how many people had to have seen that box and just did not do a Hawkeye view of the website? I mean, it's unbelievable that things like this can happen, but you triple check everything. I think you and I were taught that in school. Again, the way we were taught, and again for the audience, we were taught. I remember this. Assume, and this is true. Assume something is wrong because there's always something wrong. Always. It's just amazing. Like if you do this, I'm sure Ray and I are the same. Where it takes us a few more minutes to send an email than most people because we're rereading it 3 times,
and sometimes still leave a typo or something.
I know. It's amazing to me that in all of this still happens. You triple check everything. I don't care if this sounds condescending. This is just good advice.
Yeah.
So yeah, even with that, I do this great thing on when I'm in front of people, right, on stage or whatever. I do this communication exercise where I draw a picture on their back, and they have to copy it. And even the idea is that you can't do it if I don't give you good instructions. But even when I give good instructions, they're still not the same. They're very close, but they're never perfect. So you triple check everything. End of story. End of episode.
End of story. End of story.
Finn.
And end of show.
Yeah, Finn. Fin. Period.
Yes. Yeah. But it's a good one, buddy. We're back. Next week will be interesting because I might have jury duty next week.
Oh, dun 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 dun. Today's defendant is someone who's guilty. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, Ray Carsillo is one of the jurors, so that guy will definitely be found guilty. Dun 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 dun. Welcome to guilty court. Dun 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 dun.
This is true. Me and Lee talked about this. I get called for jury duty.
So stupid.
All the time.
Yeah. It's a third time, fourth time.
This is the third time in 5 years.
That's insane.
It's like almost as soon as I'm eligible to be a juror again, they bring me back in. Producer Caitlin mentioned I am a good juror. I throw everybody in jail.
But I don't, they don't pay enough.
Yeah, no, they don't pay me enough. I am a believer of this, and I get why they don't do it. I get it. It's jury of your peers. It's in the Constitution. But I also believe you want to help create some jobs, professional jurors. I think I think people who are just as well versed in the law, not quite lawyers or anything, but people who just have
maybe lawyers in training.
Oh, that would be good. Interesting. I think, and you pay them an actual living wage.
I think I want to see you as Donald Trump just going, you're guilty. Over and over again. You're guilty.
I conferred with the best people. Me and the other 11 people have decided that you're done.
Yeah. As someone who is guilty but has not been found guilty but has also been found guilty, you are guilty.
You are guilty. You are fired.
Who's the innocent antithesis of that? Right? P. Diddy?
I don't know. I don't think P. Diddy's innocent.
The more comment, the more problems we see.
He is not innocent.
It's all about the Benjamins. What? Now, just to close this out, the best thing about P. Diddy the funniest thing about P. Diddy was this oil stuff. He's like, oh no, it was like a Costco. We bought all this oil at Costco, and then Costco comes out, we don't sell baby oil. It was just like triple check everything.
That is the
You idiot! You blew it.
Yeah.
You could have said oil emporium, and everyone would have agreed. Like, oh yeah, buy in bulk.
Buy in bulk.
You picked the one. The one buy in large store that doesn't sell oil. You schmucks. Triple check everything.
Unbelievable. I'm surrounded by the best people. Anyway,
you're guilty.
You're guilty. You're burnt. But yeah. So yes, if I get called in for jury duty next week,
we will
show may get
postpone.
delayed again.
Yes.
Well,
let's just do it live from jury duty.
That would be something.
Can you imagine that?
Live from the Los Angeles Municipal Courthouse.
No, it'd be more like this. It would be more like live from the municipal courthouse.
I know it'd be stupid.
I'm Ray Carsillo in a dark room with other people, and this Lee Elias, who fit in a place I wish I was right now, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Lee, how are you doing?
Oh man.
Dun 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 dun. The Carsillo's court. Come on. It's like Night Court and Judge Judy together.
I'm gonna turn it into a comedy bit for sure. For sure, it's gonna be a comedy bit.
Bum bum.
But yeah, so yeah, I got jury duty.
Ray, end the show.
If I get called,
the people gotta go, Ray. The people listening have to go.
They have to go. If I get called for jury duty next week, we may take a week off, and if so, we'll wish you a happy Thanksgiving now. But if not, we'll be back next week. I'll wish you a happy Thanksgiving again then. But yes, for Lee, I'm Ray, and this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. You're Lee, I'm Ray. Hit the outro. There we go.
You're guilty.
You're guilty. Yeah, I'm surrounded by all the best subscribers. Best people comment below. Geeks Who Like Sports.
The best people comment below. I love that.